And then I had my own catering. I had my own catering company for 25 years, so I love to cook and entertain and all that kind of thing. But my sister and I retired in the year 2001, and we went around the world to celebrate everything. And we went to so many museums and so many art shows around the world, everywhere from India, which I have been to during Diwali and all that, and everywhere from Antarctica to Iceland to Tibet to Patagonia, everywhere. We traveled around the world. And then I decided to start painting. So instead of, I had never studied art, not one art class in my entire life, but I wanted to try painting. So in order to get my education, I took on the job of being the workshop coordinator for the Santa Clara Valley Watercolor Society, which hired like 9 workshops a year at that time they were having. They're not having that many anymore, but we hired the best water media, which means wash, acrylic, anything but oil, people from all over the country. And so I got to go to Hoover Theater where the workshops were and study with the best in the business to study water media. So that's anything except oil. And so that was how I got my education. And I painted realistically at first, but then I don't know, something happened. And now I paint, I don't try to paint anything realistically. I try to paint something that's never been painted before. And a lot of my pieces have some humor in them. Like I have a piece behind this young lady that's called The Badass Day. And then also I write poetry, and many times I incorporate one of my poems into the paintings that I do. That painting being over there won 7th place in the Santa Clara Valley Watercolor Society's annual show, their big show, 2 years ago. Everybody else, it was the middle of COVID, everybody else painted small and very traditional. And I got my red lace underpants up there, and that made everybody smile. And then there are my jeans that were just full of paint. You see, I get a little paint on me. So when you make a mistake, I was taught, if you make a mistake and get paint someplace, just add more, and then it'll look like it's intentional. So I made a few mistakes here. So I just added more. So we have to keep our sense of humor. And this one is an H competition, and we're talking about not pure, acrylic or whatever. That one has magic marker drawings of cartoons. This one, everything that's black in that was an old black T-shirt that I had that I ripped apart. And I don't know if you can all see it, but it turned into a cat looking out a window. You see, so that is an old T-shirt that I ripped apart and turned into a painting. And this one kind of goes toward assemblage. This is just a lot of paintings that were full of paint and nasty, and instead of throwing them all away, I turned it into a work of art. And here's another one. It's all about finance and economy. And the background of it is all from a book of physics, the calculations and everything. But it's all about money and economy and their words incorporated in this one too. So it has a theme with some words. Like here's an economy sign. It says money. Here's the ace of spades. It says savings, 90% plus. So that's all about finance. So some of them have a theme. Well, so the first one, that said, I hope you'll walk around and look at some, there are some interesting ones that are very simple, but you have to have a way to start. So there are a lot of compositions that we can talk about. A cruciform, a cross. A cruciform is a cross. So variations of a cruciform, of a cross, not literally a straight up and down one, but just variations. Maybe it's tipped a little sideways. That's one kind of a structure on which to put your design. And then there are uneven parallel bands, like lines that are spaced differently. And I'm going to do one of those. then there are many, there's also like that, one over there is 4 corners, but there's a grid that ties the 4 corners together. That's another kind of composition. So if you study composition, there are many, there's like a lot of letters, an L shape, and then you have to figure out where the focal point. So if I painted here and here, then I'd have to figure out what to do with the rest of the middle of it and put something in there. An L shape is one shape, an O shape, well, that one is like an O. And then you can have a U shape, just for example, if I put collage or whatever here, and then I could have something maybe in one of the focal points. And do you know, you've studied where the focal points go. If you have a piece of art, a very likely place is to put it here, 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 or here, if you have one. Those are the most likely places to put your focal point, but you don't absolutely, this kind of abstract art, you don't have to have real hard and tough rules. So on the little sheet in front of you, there is something called uneasiness. So I am going to start gluing on here and try to approximate something that reflects uneasiness. And I've got a big brush and a lot of glue. And so I'll just get started right away and we'll turn this into the background. I forgot to mention some of the backgrounds that I use. That one over there, for example, I painted my pants. I took chunks of charcoal briquettes, and pounded them to make charcoal powder, but you can also buy charcoal powder. And then I went outside and sprinkled the charcoal powder all over this just to get something going, for the background. So it's not just a plain white background. And then I just dumped a bucket of water on top of it and let it dry outdoors to see what happened, just to have something interesting going on, so there's not just a plain background. So now I'm gonna put this on, glue it on. I've got a big brush. And the kind of glue I use, I buy it by the gallon. It's called Yes Glue, and you can dilute it. It will pretty much hold anything imaginable on. If you want to glue an electrical cord on there or a rock or absolutely anything, the Yes Glue, I pay $100 for a gallon of it and buy it by the gallon. Can you believe?
The glue name is
A gallon of glue.
Yes.
It is possible to buy it
Is it
at,
archival quality?
pardon?
Is it archival quality?
I'm sorry?
Is it archival quality?
Yes, it's archival. Yes, indeed. Yes, so, okay. So I'm putting this on here. And then I have some other.
That's a piece of wallpaper or something you do?
It's, I get it at the Peninsula up in Burlingame, I think it is, up the Peninsula Art Supply Place by the gallon.
No, but the piece that you glued on, how did you get that?
How did I get? Let me turn my hearing aid up a little bit. I can hear you better. Just a second. Now, would you repeat that question?
That you glued on, the paper, where did it come from?
Oh, this paper, this was just random paper that I had, and you can see I painted it and texturized it and just put stuff all over. And I did that to save a little time. I could be painting it in front of you. So this is not cast in stone how I have this. So I might change this around. So this is just, we're talking about starts here, just getting started by using some of the formats, like the O, the L, that H over there. This one is almost like an O, just to get something going. And this Yes Glue is clear, so it will dry clear and it holds on like nobody's business. So then, okay, so now I have a piece on here. And it's reflecting, like it's kind of off balance. It's reflecting some dis-ease. And then I'm going to do something to it to try to make a focal point. I love working in neutrals, so that's why I pre-picked out some and tore out some, to speed things up, some neutrals. And so one of them I will put over here on the side. Can you see, am I blocking the view or can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
You can see?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Well, so this one will just go over here, kind of also any random way to make it be like tippy. And then this is, I was in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. And I saw a piece at the Met that was cardboard with a hole cut in the center of it. And then there was a piece of burned tinfoil like this. That was in the middle of that for a focal point. So if it can get in the Met, I figure that it's very illuminating to go to New York City and go to the Museum of Modern Art and see what's up there. I go there for an entire week, and I'm going again every year for like a million years. I've gone to New York City to go 3 museums a day in the first week of December. And so when I was there last year, they had something called hang-ups, and it was a hanger. And this person just hung her hair. She had really long hair. She cut it off. She glued it all on, the hanger, and then wrapped it in plastic wrap. And that was it. And she had 2 high heel shoes turned upside down on a tray that kind of looked like a turkey legs, and put those turkey ruffles that are paper on top of that. So it was, you can just be inspired to do insane things like I do if you go to New York to the Museum of Modern Art and look at what crazy things they do. So
I've never been able to figure out how does those pieces qualify as art, and
yeah,
and how do if I come up with something.
yeah. Well, if those things come up as art, then maybe my stuff is art too.
Yeah.
My wild and crazy stuff.
I had the same feeling in SF MoMA,
Yeah.
You had the same thing happen.
like the same feeling.
Uh-huh. Okay. So now, okay, you have on that little sheet something that's about discomfort or what's the word they use on that? But it's something, so it's, dis-ease or unease. So, so anyhow, here's kind of something, and I love working in the neutrals because I didn't want to bring every color today because I didn't want to bring, massive amounts of things. So I just started out with this. So there we have, it kind of looks like that piece, that's there. It's not all balanced and everything. So this is my discomfort or dis-ease piece or whatever. And this piece has just got a little bit of everything on it. It has stamping, it has some striped tissue paper, it has just probably splatter and spray and everything imaginable. But that's okay, I'm just having fun with this. And so that's my dis-ease or discord or whatever you want to call it piece. And so, all right, that one's done. That didn't take very long, huh?
Do you name your artwork as soon as you finish it, or do you plan for what you want to do? Like, do you think of the theme before you put together the things?
Well, the theme that I had was that composition. So I'm not working, but later. So sometimes I come back to this. And if maybe I want to, I have letters, like you can buy someplace in this mess. I have, here, you can buy letters that you can stick on. These are like letters that I could stick on their Discord or something like that, some letters. But I also brought along all these little things torn from the newspaper or from magazines, little words like comment, or so they say different things that I might. This is just a start. Here, the challenge. Maybe that could get stuck on here someplace too, eventually. I don't know, I could, you see? So when I think of so this is just the first step, the first start to get something going. And then it's that, often kind of lopsided kind of composition. But then I might look at it later And then I might add some other pieces, or I might add some words to it. Or I might, change the color if I have you seen this red stuff that you can test the value?
Yeah.
So looking at this, you can look at your work and see if the values work. And value, is the light versus the dark. So I would, like I said, I'm just getting a start here. So here's a start for an abstract piece. And it's just a start, but you gotta start somewhere. So that's what, can you see here? It's just right here. You can see when it's down here.
Mhm.
And so this is my burned, nasty tinfoil that's crumpled, and there's a lot of texture. It has some shine to it and everything. I might add some, some other sparkles or something some other place. I don't know. But that's kind of how I work. I don't, get it all done at one time. I look at it a little bit and think about it. So this is where I am, and I think I'm going to stop with this one and go on. Now, that was pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, I'll keep working on it, I'll keep thinking about it. And you all can come up afterwards and critique and tell me, hey, you could do this. So I brought along, like I could these are just lids. So if I wanted to make a circle someplace, a circle is kind of a good thing to do for a focal point, or circles of different sizes. So I might put some white paint here or some paint and then dip this in it and then print, just, push it down like that to make, if I needed something to hold it together. Or if I needed some white, if I saw that I needed some white or something over here or whatever, I don't see that I need that right now, but on another one, I might do something with printing. And printing brings to mind, I've already textured this, you can see, this is some plastic that has ridges on it. So you paint this, and if you want stripes, if I painted this and pushed it down like that, then I could get stripes, subtle stripes. Then here, this is some kind of, not even plastic, that's sort of a webbed kind of thing. Can you see that? Well, if you paint that on one side and then you just put it on your paper, you can print with that.
Mm.
And then there are a lot of different ways you can get texture. This is just some like roofing nails. Can you see? If you dip those into paint and then you drag them, that's another way to get some, we're talking about getting texture.
Mhm.
Also, things like salt and alcohol. If you have, a darker color of acrylic paint and you sprinkle alcohol, it makes like blooms. Has anybody ever tried that? It's very interesting. Salt. Have you tried salt? Salt makes texture and is interesting too. So there are lots of ways to get texture going. So I think now, so we have some basic shapes. And the color scheme we're going for is neutrals. But then I need to look at, other things like the color, if that works, and I will do that eventually. If it needs anything else, what else does it need? Does it need some more color moved around, or what does it need? But this is just where it's going to be for the time being. Okay, and then I might come back to it. So that's the start of this one with the discomfort. Well, let's put it all there. You can walk around it, and then we'll go on. And this one, I told you that we can do uneven. That's another kind of design that's a compositional format, is uneven bands of color. And so this could be turned this way, it could be turned this way, but just not the same size like stripes, but uneven bands of color. And then I'll put this down here, this outside view. And then how do we make this interesting? We've got our uneven bands of color. This is newsprint. And then there's a little bit of collage on top of it, but the newsprint is collage. And then I used water media, really wet on the background to get some texturing. And now I have to figure out how to turn this into something that resembles art and make it more interesting. So I looked in, I did took some old paintings and tore them up and did do some painting, with the colors that I was going to use today. So maybe we have to figure out where the focal point is going to be of this. So I told you the focal point is usually here, here, or here, here. We sort of have, this is pleated paper right here. I folded it over. I don't know if you can see that, but that paper is folded over and glued on top. So maybe this is a logical focal point down here. So I have some just crazy stuff. This is a sign that says adventure. So this art is kind of a little bit like an adventure. And I have a circle here that's bright yellow. And I have some very interesting, just random stuff here that could be put together to form a focal point. This is some more newspaper that's torn, but I'm trying to get some color other than that. This is kind of orangey brown, and this kind of picks up on that color too, just to put some things here and make this an adventure in art. Then maybe I can use some of these random things that I have here to make it somewhat more interesting. That's what I'm trying to do, just get some interest going. And so here we're brightening things up over in this section. And the focal point can be small or big, and it can just be anything we want it to be. So there, are we getting like something that looks interesting, a little more interesting? Okay. That's that, and we can take it farther. I could look at my other words that I have here. The challenge, but I don't know if we need that. The challenge, adventure, the challenge, maybe just adventure is enough. But so see, I tore out these words that we could, here's comment. And I have bigger and smaller words that could be, what's this one? Good to go. Good to go. So maybe that's done. Maybe that's good to go. So does that make it look a little more interesting to add some, is the color bright enough over here? Because I could also just get out my brush or find in this heap some brighter orange or some red or something. This is just all random paper that I pre-painted. And I like the little bit of texture from that. And this is just a random stick of some kind. There's brighter blue, we have, all options are available right now for what's here. So there's even some red. I could see if red looks good there. I'm playing. You see, I'm just having fun and playing here. I think the red is too bright. I like that little bit of orange in there though. Don't you think?
Yeah.
So this is the way I work. And then it is an adventure. So maybe I don't even have to glue this on, but we could try some different things. Maybe that's enough of a focal point here, and then we have a secondary focal point over there. But that's how I would work with this. So this is a circle that's cut out of this, and it kind of repeats. But I kind of like the way that looks now. Is it upside down for you?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is upside down?
Only the adventure.
What?
Only the words.
Oh, the word is upside down. Oh, look here. Is that better?
Yeah.
Now you can kind of see how that looks.
Mhm.
I think it's balanced. The brightest color is balanced. So we need to talk about color balance. And we did the stripes to get it going, but then we're trying for a little color balance. Okay, so to me, it looks more interesting now. And there are lots more things I could do with magic marker, scribbling, or doing something, but I kind of like the way it looks right now.
Yeah.
So stop while you're ahead, right?
How did you get the water to leave those marks, like the
Oh,
watermarks?
This is just a raw canvas that I put some kind of stuff on it that makes I forgot what the name of it is, but something you put on the canvas that you can use watercolor with it.
Resist.
What is it?
Or resist.
Yeah, something like that. And so that texture is all just from the watercolor on this medium that I put on so that you can use a canvas for watercolor. So I think I like the way that looks now.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's something nobody's ever seen before,
Yeah.
which I like, and I don't even know, I could quickly glue it all, but maybe we don't even have to do that. You're getting the idea. And then here's another one. So basically, I'm starting with a compositional format. And there are a bunch of them on there, but there are lots of other compositional formats, like loop. In that, there's a little box over there, and it has, I was studying compositional formats. And so my friends and I, my artist friends and I, during COVID, made 2,000 one-of-a-kind greeting cards that were little samples. You could pass that box around, but the ones on the table, you could pass those around too. So we were experimenting with composition. So we made little 6-inch by 6-inch greeting cards that were, and you could do that. There's a show in Pacifica called the 50/50 show. So you have to do 50 little 6-inch paintings. And this would be a really good way to try out abstract little compositions. It doesn't take very long, but you could, just try those. I got someplace here, I got into that 50/50 show. This one was compositions. And you see, so this is like all neutrals. So I was doing black, white, and the neutral warm color. And so here we have like a U-shaped turn on the side. Here we have diagonal. Then we have kind of grid. This is bands here, and this is like kind of like a U-shape here. But so I did 50 of these little ones that were in the Sanchez 50/50 show. So if you like painting small and you have a theme, then you can, I think, how many people? I think 60 people get in and like 2,000 people apply to get into that show every year. So have you heard of it? At Sanchez Gallery in Pacifica? Well, it's in the summer, but you have to enter like in August.
Okay.
So, okay, now we'll move right on. So this is another one. And I think I'm gonna try an L-shaped composition with this one. And this is just something, an old canvas that I covered with a brown wrapping paper and then just to put some color on it. And then I had all these random pieces that I had pre-painted with colors that I thought looked kind of interesting with this color as a background. And so we're going to do an L shape. So we can do the L shape. So we'll do an L around here, and then we'll have the focal point be there. That's a good place for focal point. So what I'm gonna do, so this is a color that I think looks kind of interesting, some of these, with what's here. So I'm just making an L shape on the sides here, by putting these around the edges. I could tear them up a little bit more, do some other things to them, but won't have to. This is a loosey-goosey way of painting. So I'm a loosey-goosey. I don't worry about perfection. I don't worry about much of anything. I just do something that's fun and that pleases me. So then here we have something that would make like the L shape, you see? And we can fix this corner up here. Do we care if that's a little uneven? We still have an L. And it's not perfectly regular, but that doesn't bother me because I'm a loosey-goosey person. It's not uptight about it. And then I picked out some random scraps of this and that that could be an interesting focal point. Because there's this splatter already here. And these are just random. This is interesting. Look at this netting that came on some oranges or something. So a little bit of that could even go in there. So just something that's interesting. There's some more of that corrugated cardboard. I just want something in the way of interest in that area. So that's just what I'm going for, something interesting up there to be the focal point. Please don't stay here. But do we like the way these look down here? Because they can be cut off. These can go on top of them or whatever. I'm just playing. So this is play. Art play. I'm not working too hard on my art. I'm just playing. So then what else can we do up there to make that interesting? Maybe a little bit of the blue. So here we have the splatters, and I'm just trying to come up with something that's interesting, focal point. I might have some circles that I cut out already in here. I think I do. Someplace. So a circle, but I could also show you how I put some paint in here, and then I could do a big circle there. And we have a secondary focal point someplace around here. Let's see, now we kind of have an L shape, but maybe we need something else to tie it. I'm not sure. But this is just a start. We're doing starts. And is this more interesting? This is we need white there to make it harder. Do we need something? I'm just playing to figure out what to do there. I will play. That's how I work. I just play. And then maybe a secondary focal point. You could do something a little bit down here too. Is it getting more interesting? A little bit. So there's my focal point. And these things are not glued down yet or anything, but I could also cut that off and make the border straighter. And this one's not straight too, but it doesn't bother me that it's not straight. But it's just the idea of and I might put some more of this brown on some of these pieces out here to kind of make the background go with the foreground a little better. So this would be an L composition. Then comment, defining what any of these signs I have together. So I could also have some words stuck in here, together, or whatever interesting words. Good to go. We saw that one before. Good to go. Maybe white is better in there. Good to go. I kind of like a little white in there. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Something white? So there's something. This is a cupcake wrapper with an interesting edge. Just random, anything works. So then what if we did that? It's kind of a circle thing that's interesting. The white is helping there, don't you think? I think the white looks good there. So this is just creative play that I'm doing. Playing around to find something that looks interesting. Maybe a repeat over here, but I might decide this is too big and not needed, but good to go. And good to go kind of suits me for this one. Or it's good to go. You think, are we done? Is it good to go? I can come back in and I can do some painted lines, someplace loop-de-doos under there, or, the next time I go at it. But I like that with the white now. And I like those brighter colors up there. And I might lighten this or do something down here, but I think it's interesting as it is right now. You're nodding your heads, it's interesting. So how long did that take? And this is what you can do. So if you have I recommend canvases because it's a pain to have to frame stuff. So if you have, how am I doing time-wise? Am I okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
You can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is how I work, and it's just, playing with the shapes, playing with the colors, playing with the focal point, playing with textures and all of that. And so if you paint on canvases, and you don't like what you paint, the good news is you can just paint right all over it, or even do collage all over the whole thing, which I did here. It was painting I didn't like. So you just go over it. You have many chances. So I think I'm done with this one. So I'm calling this my L composition. You see the L. Okay. This could have been kind of teal. That would have been an interesting color too with that background. And then, okay, then another. Oh, where's this one? There's another one. So this just has some drippy, messy paint on the background. And this one is going to be a U shape. It's kind of like the L shape, but a little different. So the U shape. And so I have, this is a lot like, well, so this is orange, so I'm using blue, around the outside edges, different kinds of blue, because oranges and blues are opposite. So I'll put blue around the edges, the blues and greens, then maybe something interesting will happen. So a U, it would go up all the way to the top here. I'm trying to have a little variety in what I'm putting around the outside to make the U. It's not all the same. Variety. And something the other way. And maybe something can stick out a little further, something too. Just, I'm trying to get a U shape here. That's mostly the blue, so it contrasts with the orange. And these are not glued on yet, but they would be glued on in a more overlay fashion. And then I have this very interesting S, that I don't know what it stands for, but it and some brighter things could be another kind of interesting focal point. To have a focal point here that's in the, one of those places that a focal point should go. And maybe just trying out laying some things around to make it look interesting. The blue against the orange. Is that starting to look a little interesting? Like loosey-goosey thing. So anyhow, then we have this crazy stuff again that we could put in if we wanted to, so it took a little bit in the background. And I don't know if we need words or not, because we could comment, opinion, defining A, defining A S. I don't know, this is defining a U, not defining this together. So see, all of these things could somehow or other be stuck in there too, to make it kind of interesting. So that's like a U shape with something that's in there. And that's just the start of it. But it's interesting. And I like the colors of the blue and green with the orange background. So I kind of like that together. So it's the blues and the greens together with the orange. Okay? And then we could have some more variation to break up the blues and the greens on the side, just to not make it not be so regular. So I'm just arbitrarily putting some other colors on the side here and there. It's all arbitrary, but I'm trying to have fun here. Do something just interesting. Okay, so now we have an orange and blue thing going. This is together. Is this upside down again? Is it upside down?
Yep.
Can you see it?
the word.
Can you read that together? Yes. Okay. That's the only help. That just got messed up. I'm not moving it on, but I will. When I get home, I'm not have more time to think about it. So it's basically the border the U shape and then with some kind of a focal point.
Yeah.
So we're working on the blue, the red, orange, and the blue-green for the border. And I could do a lot of different things, but I think together, you know, kind of says something to me. So that's that one. And then I'm not even going there. In my other demos, I've always glued everything on, but it's okay. And then tissue paper. Tissue paper, this is just a highly textured background that already has tissue paper on it. But someplace I have some tissue paper, which is an interesting way, a simple way to start. I probably won't have a focal point, but this is just plain old tissue paper. And what if I have 4 corners, like that one over there is a 4-corner composition. And so I will try to do something interesting with tissue paper and the 4 corners and gluing on. And then I do have this old placemat from my kitchen that fell apart. That has this, like, interesting textured stone. You see? Can you see? Yeah. And so that could be under the, you know, to connect, like the grid there is connecting. And someplace in this mess, I have a scissors. But you're getting the idea. Scissors. Pardon? Yeah, you have scissors? I'll take your scissors. Thank you. So anyhow, we could do, like that one has a grid, but in this, to connect the pieces of the tissue paper, you know, that, because we've already got some texture going here, we could use these pieces of my falling apart placemat and just connect in some way the pieces. Somehow or other. It have the X, but it could be whatever we choose. Just a way to start a 4 corners composition. You get to have something different in every corner, which is fun. So, and the tissue paper glues on easily. And then if you want to have a focal point, you can, but you don't have to. So I could go ahead and glue on something here. I don't always use words in my, or letters in my work, but it seems like that's working tonight. So this is glue, and I don't want to make just an X. I want to make something else to connect the 4 corners. But this might not be cooperating tonight. It might be more or something, but I'm just giving you the idea of how this could be done. And then where'd that scissors go? See if I have a problem. Okay. So maybe we have this coming down here to this corner. And we want it to be irregular, not just like big old X. And maybe 2 coming here. So when I get this on, this will be interesting, because it has a lot of texture in this cording. Can you see? So it's tying it together. So there is some kind of a connection to all the sides. And then the tissue paper, I would just glue randomly, like here and there, and crumple it up on top of each other. And these, I like these colors with the background, the orange and the green and the purple. Oh, and then I do have, if I wanted to have a focal point, I have some, you know, little pieces of this that could be an interesting focal point too, someplace, that are all the colors that are in the tissue paper. But let's just see what happens here. I don't have this thought out too well to really see what's going to happen. for tissue paper. Can be interesting. Just glued on, one on top of the other, and crumpled up together. Maybe I just really need to do it instead of talking about it. Let's see what happens. If it's a disaster, it's okay. You gotta have that attitude, or this kind of fun stuff. Okay. And then I can smush this, complete it.
Just regular tissue paper.
It's just plain old, yes, you can use archival, but this isn't. I found this in my house, in the cupboard in my house in Carmel. Somebody left it there, but they took all my coffee and drank all my coffee. They left the tissue paper. So I'm getting back at them, but having all my coffee.
So
Okay.
since most of this is experimental, right? You're kind of,
It's experimental, everything.
do you end up with something you don't like?
What?
Sometimes do you end up with something that you don't like?
If I come up with something I don't like, I just paint over it or do something different.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. It's not like, this is just a canvas. I buy them at Michael's or on sale, they don't cost, I'm not spending a fortune on the canvases or anything. So if it doesn't work out, okay, then you just toss it and try something else. So I'm getting a lot of texture from smushing this tissue paper around. So, it's worth a try. Just playing, we're playing. So painting can be fun. It doesn't have to be tedious. It can take a year. You see that I'm having fun here. And I'm not slaving over the work. I'm just doing something that's fun and interesting to me. And if you ever get tired of spending a year on a painting, you can just try a different approach. So, okay. Then I'll try a little green. So maybe I should call this playing, not painting.
Fun.
But anyhow, I'm having fun with it. And sometimes it turns out really good, and sometimes it doesn't turn out so good, but then you just do another one. And it turns out good. You're getting the idea.
But everywhere you go, do you keep looking for an item? Yeah. So wherever you go, do you keep looking for textures and
Yeah, I'm working with the compositions at four corners now, and I can just do anything, to make the four corners happen. I could have, in one corner, I could have some of these very bright, to make one corner different, or I could put littler pieces of that, or, the options are, like unlimited, what I can do. So we could also, just have one corner that's like that, or you just keep going. And this is not a final thing. This is just, I'm kind of showing you how you can do the four corner composition is all I care that you get from this. And then for other, kinds of things, you can do four corners. Even for a realistic kind of thing, you would have a pumpkin with a pumpkin vine connecting. So that would be something different to have a pumpkin vine, connecting four different pumpkins. So anyhow, we're getting some pretty colors here. I see that. And this is Yes Glue I'm using. Any questions so far? Any more questions? Oh,
Can you use Elmer's glue?
I think you'd use any kind of glue you want to glue.
Is it as good as the glue that you're using?
Well, it depends on how archival you want it to be. I don't know if people are going to want to buy my paintings, like 100 years from now. So I don't worry about archival all that much. But if you do, then you can get archival glue. This glue is Yes Glue is archival. But it's up to you how important it is to you. How important it is to you that, it could last for 100 years or not. Okay. So if you don't get anything else out of this demonstration and this talk tonight. Be sure to walk around and look at some of the, well, like, I'll just take a break for a second and hold up a couple other things. This one over here is like, at the last demo I did, the people really loved this. This is like the easy way out. So you do any color and then you just make a little box. You know, and very famous artists have done this kind of thing too, like just, I have some paintings that are like half this size, well, even a quarter of the size in a frame this size. But then it has to be very interesting what's in the middle there, but so if you want to cheat and be real, lazy, and have a big canvas with a little thing that's like that tiny, but it gives a lot of emphasis to that. And then this is a tea composition. Yes, these are just a tea. Think of masking paper all around. And then this is just crayon. I think it's interesting. Yeah. So this part of this collage is quite painted. This part is all like crayon. And then this one is the cruciform that talks through this up and down, a variation of it. It goes this way and then this way, but it's not, a straight up and down, because it has holes in that. So this was an attempt to make a focal point, and that is what we did, we are painted it, and this one goes make the circle. You see? So how easy is that? I can make your life easier. Do any of you take a year to do a painting? I know people who take a year to do a painting. And that would be work if you were taking a year to do a painting. So do you think it would look, I think it might look better without these guys and just with the tissue paper. What do you think about that? We need some feedback. Is it better with just, different sizes, different kinds of tissue paper? Well, instead of that focal point stuff and like so on top of it. But see, I can just get it started tonight and then think about that too. So this is just a loosey-goosey kind of taking it easy, lazy-ass kind of way to paint or come up with art. So if you're lazy or tired, go for it. Okay. You're getting the idea. So, but really and truly, I've done a lot of more realistic abstracts too. And starting, keeping the composition in mind. Even when you do realistic work, it's good to keep the composition in mind. I mean, the masters always did that. They always had something in the way of a composition in mind when they were painting.
So that big one up over there, is it mostly painted or is it collage also?
That one is paint and collage, and it's supposed to be like a waterfalls with rocks. Can you tell that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is paint and a lot of collage of different kinds. Yes. So yes, it is paint. It's acrylic paint, but there's a ton of collage in there also, and it's semi-realistic, not very realistic, but you can see if you look a waterfall and a lot of rocks and the water gushing down. Okay. Ooh. I'm making a mess.
Karen, we have 5 more minutes.
I only have 1 more minute. Okay.
Five more minutes.
5 more minutes. Thank you for the warning.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
think I could just stop anytime because you're getting the idea. But so this is how I would do it. And I'm just doing this real quickly tonight, but I might take a lot more care. If I was trying to turn this into like something that I'd want to keep or really do, and it's just the idea of the 4 corners that You know, to do something different in each corner in painting. That's all I'm, in the simplest way possible, trying to tell you to do, how to do a painting with something in four corners that's interesting without a lot of work. And using
Will
the,
you do something in the middle eventually or not?
well, I could, that's arbitrary. You know, I could put something in the middle there. I have these,
I'm not
you know,
saying you should, I'm just.
very colorful things that I could, you know, put things that have pick up on the same colors. Or I could find words to put in there. Or I could do a found objects. Lots of times I'm taking my walk and I find something on the street, you know, that's interesting. There might be stuff in here too. But sometimes I find things when I'm out walking that are really interesting. And then I could do scale with that in the painting. Yeah. Here we have some drama now, we can do that kind of thing. But we have all four corners different and we have those little yellow ties to bring it together. I'm not too sure I like this, but everything is arbitrary. So at this point, just putting some stuff on here. To show you that it is possible to come up with something interesting at least. And you can use this in the four corners approach in your realistic paintings too. So I hope if you don't go away with anything else, learn at least, you know, a few, read that little chart, the handout that I gave you, and you'll come up with, if you do want to try to do abstract, then try to do like that many, 12 that are real small. You don't waste a lot of money or anything if you just cut out little sheets of watercolor or watercolor paper that are 6 inches by 6 inches. And if you like doing that, then you can do 50, and then you can get into that 50-50 show at the same. So that's it. Do I have half a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your attention.